In preparation to the second confrontation with Pharaoh, the Lord explained how he wanted Moses and Aaron to interact with the king. As we noted, biblical commentators take this to mean that Moses would act with the authority of God, especially in bringing down the plagues upon the Egyptians. Aaron, as prophet, would be the mouthpiece. However, elsewhere in the Old Testament, prophets didn't need to act as gods to call down judgments from heaven. They were given full authority to do so from God in their callings as prophets. Joshua, for example, commanded the earth to stop in its rotation, making it appear that the sun stood still. He did so in his capacity as a prophet. Deborah the prophetess called upon the planets to assist her in her fight against Sisera. Elijah called down fire from heaven to consume a captain and his 50 soldiers sent by the king of Samaria. He did so twice. The Lord, in his regular dealings with his prophets, did not normally give them the status of gods to empower them to exercise miraculous godlike power. He usually directed them as to what to do, giving the prophets the power to accomplish the command at the appropriate moment. The Lord's bestowal of the status of God upon Moses in his dealings with Pharaoh was clearly outside the norm. There must be another explanation. One of the rabbinical commentaries on the scriptures, known as the Midrash HaGadol, or the Great Midrash, proposes another interpretation of the verses under consideration. Under this interpretive framework, Moses assumes the position of God, speaking in his heavenly tongue, the tongue of angels. Aaron then assumes the position of a prophet, not as the voice piece for a man, but as the spokesman for a god, which is the true vocation of a prophet. He does so using an earthly language, in this case Hebrew. Aaron must supply the interpretation, because Pharaoh would not understand Moses' speech and hear only unintelligible gibberish. Moses would receive the gift of angeloglossy, speaking the tongue of angels or the pure language of Adam and of God. Such an arrangement of linguistic and prophetic affairs follows a wider pattern of prophecy in the ancient world. Prophecy from the oracle at Delphi worked in a similar fashion. The oracle, called the Pythoness, spoke in an incomprehensible form of speech and then was interpreted by the so-called Holy Ones. This form of prophecy required two prophetic adepts, one to speak in the holy language of the gods, and another to interpret the message into the language of man. This form of prophecy should sound familiar to Latter-day Saints, where the gift of tongues required one to speak in a pure and holy language, unintelligible to man, followed by another who was given the power to interpret the communication into a human language. Within a modern Latter-day Saint context, Moses was given the gift of tongues, and Aaron was given the gift of the interpretation of tongues.